We are so thankful to have each and every one of you with us here today. As I look around this room, I know that we are all here because we all care about kids, and we all care about doing what is best for kids. And we thank each and every one of you for being here. I want you to take a look at those beautiful centerpieces that are on your tables and these two gorgeous flower arrangements. Those were put together by Seneca High School agriculture students. Yes. And your fantastic greeters who were downstairs, those are Southern High School hospitality students. We have some Southern High School fans in the house. Thank you all so much. As you can see, we have so much talent throughout Jefferson County Public Schools. I tell anyone who will listen, great things happen every single day in every single JCPS school. I want you all to remember that every single day. Thank you to our board members who are here today. Would you each please stand so that we can recognize you? Miss Porter's right here. Thank you for all you do. To our Education Foundation members, would you all please stand so we can clap for you? Thank you so much. Mayor Greenberg, thank you so much for being here today. To our other elected officials who are in this room, thank you. I know Dr. Pollio will be giving even more thank yous, so as not to miss anyone here, but thank you all for being in this room. To our Kentucky Department of Education officials who are here, we appreciate you. Thank you so much to Class Act Federal Credit Union. They are our presenting sponsors tonight. They constantly support Jefferson County Public Schools. I cannot remember a single time where we have reached out to them and asked for help with something where they have even said maybe. It's always a yes. So thank you so much for your support. To our corporate sponsors, Norton Healthcare and U of L Health, thank you for the opportunities you provide our students. Our students have the chance to work side by side medical professionals, learning about what they want their future careers to be, and having experiences that so many of us only could have dreamed of having when we were in high school. So thank you so much. You're also providing mentors to our students who are helping guide them through life, and we cannot thank you enough for that. To Paper, thank you for being one of our sponsors. You have such a commitment to Jefferson County Public Schools. For those of you who do not know, Paper is a virtual tutoring service that provides 24/7 tutoring access live to our students. Teachers then receive insights to tackle individual learning gaps, and administrators get actionable data to inform strategic decisions. Thank you, Paper, for being here and for all you do for our students and our teachers. To all of our community partners in this room and our community sponsors today, thank you for your commitment to JCPS. Today, we are, of course, in the gorgeous Kentucky Science Center. Look how beautiful that view is. We got a great day. If you are a parent or have a little one in your life, you probably spend some time here, just like I do. And I will say that I have just as much fun as my kids do when we are at the Kentucky Science Center. We are thankful for this space today, and I want to invite up CEO Mike Norman to welcome us.
Hello, welcome to your beautiful Kentucky Science Center. I am Mike Norman, CEO of your Kentucky Science Center. I want to take a moment and welcome you, but also note in the program, you see, I'm not Melissa Blankenship. I kind of pulled CEO privilege today and said, no, this is JCPS. This is very special to me. So if you don't know me, I'm a lifelong Louisvillian. I'm a very proud JCPS grad, and both of my children went to JCPS. Mr. Joe Lefferts still one of my favorite principals. So thank you all for everything JCPS does. Anytime I get to stand in front of a group and say and publicly acknowledge the wonderful job JCPS does and acknowledge that it takes all of us working together to make a difference. And that's what we're here at the Kentucky Science Center, what we're about. We love partnering. We see over 100 JCPS schools every year, and we continue to grow that. Dr. Pollio is just an amazing advocate, works with us on our board, so we're so appreciative of his work. And again, I just want to say thank you. Do science.
The Jefferson County Public Education Foundation is instrumental in helping us do what is best for kids. It is my pleasure this afternoon to introduce the chair of the foundation, Mr. Franklin Jelsma.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here today with the people who are engaged in the most important and maybe the most difficult work in our community, and that's educating our children. Thank you guys for what you do. You know, we hear a lot about what's wrong in the world today: drugs, crime, poverty, disease, bigotry, the widening gap between the haves and the have-nots. And there's really only one viable solution, really, for what ails us, and that's public education, right? And if we can provide all of our children with a world-class education, all of those problems are going to be solved. Public education is economic development, right? It's opportunity. It's the foundation of our democracy, and it's the fuel that drives the American dream. Our nation is not held together by fear. It's not held together by national religion. It's not held together by government subsidies. It's held together by an idea that it doesn't matter where you came from, it only matters where you're going. And education is the lamp that illuminates your path on that journey. And the folks in this room today are part of that team that provides that light to our children every day, and we're honored here to be in your presence. She said, I'm the chair of the Jefferson County Public Education Foundation. We are members of the community, members of the business community who believe in and support JCPS. We believe three specific things. One, every child in Jefferson County deserves a world-class education. Two, there is no more important task, period, than providing that education to our children. And three, the responsibility for providing that world-class education doesn't fall on JCPS alone, but rather it's the shared responsibility of our entire community. So if you're a member of the board of the Public Ed Foundation, just raise your hand so we can see you. Thank you all for being here and for your service to our... On behalf of our foundation board and the businesses and the organizations that we represent, I want to thank all the teachers and the administrators, the school board members who are here, our elected officials, our mayor who's taking time out of his busy schedule, all the parents and the volunteers, the businesses, the community organizations who are here. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you to Superintendent Marty Pollio and his team for their inspired leadership, dedication to our children. This is the most important work that's happening in our community today. There aren't any shortcuts. There's no quick fixes, right? You guys are in the trenches. You're dealing with it. You're taking the arrows every day. Thank you for what you're doing. Your leadership and dedication are making a huge difference in this community, and you are appreciated by all of us. Now it's my honor to introduce Gobin Bestola, a 2020 graduate of Fern Creek High School. He's currently a student at the University of Louisville. Gobin is the living embodiment of the American dream. He's proof positive that public education changes lives. 3 years ago, Gobin received a $20,000 JCPS employee-sponsored student scholarship, part of the $243,000, thanks to your all's generosity, that's been awarded to 22 very deserving students since 2018, when the employee-sponsored student scholarship program was set up by Superintendent Pollio. Gobin, come on up here. You're doing great.
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm honored to be here today to share my story of how the scholarship fund has helped me achieve my dreams. My message today is simple. Scholarships are a powerful tool to changing lives. Growing up in a refugee camp in Nepal, education was a luxury that my family could not afford. But life took a turn when we arrived in the United States with the hope for a better life. Adapting to the new culture and language was tough, but I was determined to make the most of my newfound opportunities. After completing high school, I dreamt of attending the University of Louisville, but I knew that the financial burden was overwhelming. I applied to countless scholarships. I was accepted by some, but I still didn't have enough to cover the full tuition. Moreover, I feel lucky to have received the JCPS scholarship. It covered my full tuition and gave me the confidence to focus on my academics without the financial worry. I'm currently attending the University of Louisville and pursuing a degree in computer science. This would not have been possible without the financial support, and for that, I'm forever grateful. The scholarship has allowed me to gain valuable knowledge and skills inside and outside of the classroom that will help me in my near future. I have had the opportunity to work as a software engineer intern at KFC Yum Brands and currently at Northrop Grumman, which has given me practical experience and confidence in my abilities. This experience has shown me how attending college can open doors and provide opportunities that may not have been possible otherwise. I want to express my sincere gratitude to the donors who have made this scholarship possible. Your generosity has changed my life, and I will always be grateful for the opportunities this scholarship has provided me. With that said, the JCPS employee-sponsored scholarship has been significant in helping me achieve my dreams of obtaining a university education. I hope that my story can serve as an inspiration, and I hope that you will continue supporting the JCPS scholarship so that other students can also receive higher education to achieve their dreams. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Gobin. It's students like Gobin who you are helping when you support the JCPS Scholarship Fund. You have heard from him, but I would also like you to get a chance to watch what it is like when we attend these JCPS Scholarship Surprise Days. It is absolutely one of the best days of the year, so take a look.
And we are giving you, representing the employees of JCPS today, $16,000. How about that?
Mama, guess what? I won.
We are proud to present Ashley with a check for $8,000. $8,000. $30,000. All the employees, JCPS gave you $30,000. I think that's for all 4 years. That covers your expenses, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
All
Thank
right,
you.
congratulations.
I'm so excited about my future. I can't wait to become a doctor.
There you go, my man. $22,000 for you. Congratulations, buddy.
I want to go into secondary education and go back to Wagner, be a math teacher, and become a wrestling coach.
I just got chills watching that back. It is truly an amazing experience if you get to be there. Those scholarships are changing lives, they're changing generations of families. On the program that you received when you entered today, you'll find 2 QR codes, one when you open it on the left page and one on the back. You can use your cell phone to give a donation to the JCPS Scholarship Fund. Remember, these donations, the impact of these donations goes beyond helping students. When you support the JCPS Scholarship Fund, you are investing in the future of our community. You're helping more students access higher education, and we're building a stronger workforce that can drive economic growth and innovation right here in our community. You heard that student. He's coming back to be a teacher at Wagner. We want to keep these kids here in Louisville, and that is what we're doing. As a little added incentive, as if helping kids isn't enough, anyone who donates $100 or more today will be entered to receive a gift of gratitude from us. We have several of those that we will give out at the end today. We have tickets to U of L basketball, U of L football, and the Belle of Louisville as well. So we appreciate anything you can do to help support our students and change lives, just like this has changed Gobin's life. Class Act Federal Credit Union, as we have said, is our presenting sponsor today. Class Act continuously goes above and beyond to support JCPS. Right now, I would like to welcome Executive Vice President Tom Annison up to say a few words.
You know, I met Gobin right before we started here, and I thought, at the very least, please don't let me follow him, because what a great story he has. So great job, Gobin. He was a little nervous, he said, but he did a wonderful job. So again, I'm Tom Annenson. I'm the Executive Vice President with Class Act Federal Credit Union. We have been serving Jefferson County Public Schools as well as all of the education systems within the Kentuckiana area for almost 70 years now. We started in the administration building with about 5 employees for JCPS and have grown to over 20,000 members currently. So I wanted to tell, there's great stories of what we're doing for students through the foundation, scholarships, and all the great things that JCPS is doing. But we like to think not only are we helping students, we're also helping the true heroes, and that's the educators within the school system. So I want to tell a quick story that just came across my desk yesterday by chance. It was from a couple of employees that visited a school. They were talking about mortgages with some potential members, and they sent this message back. The highlight of our morning came from a compelling testimony. Stephanie G., a Class Act member since 2007, shared that Class Act has assisted her through some of her darkest days. Stephanie shared that she had breast cancer, endured a significant loss of income, struggled immensely with maintaining her finances, but Class Act helped her keep hope alive. Stephanie continued to share with emotion that all these other institutions would have not cared 2 cents about my circumstances, but that Class Act is truly people helping people. Stephanie ended with saying to her colleagues that while she has worked endlessly to get her credit back to where it needs to be, it's still not quite there, but we evaluated her circumstances and recently was able to move forward with a car loan with Class Act. So that's just one example of hundreds and thousands that I've heard over the years of where we're helping members and employees at JCPS. A couple ways we do that is, one, through our organizational structure. We're actually volunteer-led by some great volunteers, some great board of directors who I want to recognize, Elizabeth and Beverly, for coming. Thank you. They're on our board. They serve completely as volunteers. They typically come from the school system. We've got some former students. We've got teachers, bus drivers. We've got a lot of folks that represent our members and education in a great way. Another program that we do is, and I don't want to steal Dr. Pollio's thunder here, but the Louisville Teacher Residency Program, which he might mention. There was actually an article this morning, I believe, in the Courier-Journal. I haven't had a chance to read it, but if you haven't had a chance, check that out, because it's a way that we're helping to partner with not only JCPS, but the University of Louisville to offer a chance for a diverse set of teachers coming into the system. This one's a little personal to me, but we have high school branches that are fully run through the Academies program at 2 and soon to be 3 high schools. So please, if you're at Doss High School, Southern High School, or soon to be J-Town High School, please visit those branches, because those students are counting on you and us to provide them with real-world work experience at each of those branches. They're fully trained. It's just like you walk in, if you're a member of ours and you come into our Fern Valley Road, it's no different if you go into the Doss, Southern, or J-Town branches. And then lastly, we have a Heroes of Education program that I hope you've heard about. If not, you can go to heroesofeducation.org. But we've committed, we've actually given nearly $300,000 in grants to individual schools to use as they see fit. I know funding at schools is not always there. We're trying to help support the teachers and the schools in a small way, and we've done that over the last 2 years and committed over nearly $300,000. So again, thank you for allowing us to participate, and I don't want to hold you back from what's sure to be a dynamic speech from Dr. Pollio.
Thank you so much to Class Act Federal Credit Union. We appreciate you and everything that you do for Jefferson County Public Schools. Thank you. Thank you all again for being in this room. I will tell you, I don't think there's ever a person I have met that truly cares more about kids and what is best for kids than Dr. Marty Pollio. And no, I'm not just saying it because he's my boss. It is true. He honestly, truly, every decision that is made, even the really, really difficult ones, are made by thinking what is best for kids. And remember, that's why we're all here, right? So without further ado, I present Dr. Marty Pollio for his State of the District.
All right, thank you, Carolyn, and welcome everybody. I hope the sound's good. We good on the sound? Everybody good? Excellent. It is an honor to be here with you, with friends, friendly faces, allies, advocates for public education, and especially for JCPS, one of my favorite events of the year. So I'm excited to be here. Obviously, food's coming out. Please continue to eat. Have your meals, dessert, while hopefully I give you some important message about what we're doing here in JCPS. Now, a couple of things. You know, every time I think about doing this, this is a more formal speech. And so I kind of banter back and forth with communications. Do I do this like thick actual speech that they write out for me like this and read it, and it's a very formal speech, and it's great. They do a great job. Or do I speak to bullet points, which is what I have here? I prefer the bullet points because I think it's more authentic and more passionate. The problem is, and the communication team knows this, when it's a written out speech, they've got it timed for 20 minutes. When it's me having bullets and I'm passionate about something, I tend to be a little verbose when I speak about JCPS. And so they actually put a watch up here for me to look at so that when I'm speaking to you, I know if it's getting late. They even told me, Dr. Pollio, remember, most of these people have to go back to work. And the Science Center, we only have this room until 1 o'clock. So I promise, so we have this bed, is it 20 minutes, 40 minutes? I'm going to try to keep it as efficient as possible. But I do think passion in speech is important. People ask me about public speaking and what's the most important thing. I said, if you're passionate about what you're speaking about and you truly believe in what you're speaking about, you will not have any issues speaking in front of a group when it comes to that. And there is no doubt, I can promise you this, it's the most passionate thing I've ever had in my life is JCPS. And I'm proud to be here and stand in front of you and represent the 96,000 students in JCPS, the nearly 17,000 employees, and all the families throughout our community. First and foremost, I want to recognize some people that I think are important. Some have been recognized, but I think it's important to do this as well. First off, our presenting sponsors, once again, Class Act Federal Credit Union. I'm telling you, I was a principal at Doss when they opened up a branch at Doss High School. Whatever I asked, they gave, and they continue to do that. Can we have a round of applause for Class Act, please? Norton Healthcare, also U of L Health and Paper for their corporate sponsors. I'll say a little bit about Paper later on, but round of applause for them. Thank you so much for your corporate sponsors. And everybody else who has been a sponsor with us, thank you very much. You can see all of them on your screen. It's so important that we are able to do this, fund this without spending any taxpayer money. So reporters back there, I know you're going to ask that we are not spending any taxpayer dollars on this lunch. This is all funded by our corporate sponsors and our sponsors. And we'll talk a little bit more about the why on this. Some others I'd like to recognize for being here. First and foremost, I need to recognize our school board members. I know as a group, they were recognized. I'm going to recognize each one of them. I'm going to tell you this. There is no more challenging time to be a school board member, superintendent, or a leader than today and over the past 5 or 6 years. And this school board, although times has differences, has stepped up to make change in JCPS and navigate us through the pandemic, the toughest time in education in over a century. We have faced a multitude of crises, the pandemic, and mental health issues with our kids, increasing poverty and challenges. And without a doubt, they've stepped up every time. Everything I say today is because of this team of 7 and myself and my team. We've all worked together to make this and help work and grow and improve JCPS. I'd like to introduce them. Please hold your applause until I introduce all of them. Chair Diane Porter, Vice Chair Dr. Corey Scholl, James Craig, Linda Duncan, Chris Cobb, Joe Marshall. Sarah McIntosh was unable to join us today because of work, but all 7 of them are champions for kids. Thank you so much for what you do. Congressman Morgan McGarvey is with us, graduate of JCPS. Thank you for all your support. A JCPS father as well. He is now in D.C. representing us. I think he thought it was going to be a lot smoother in D.C. than Frankfurt. It took him 4 days, I think, to finally get seated. And so, funny story, when I became interim superintendent, I was out to lunch and with somebody that summer, and a gentleman comes up to me and says, "I hope you're the next governor." And I said, "Governor?" I said, "I'm just the interim superintendent." He said, "Aren't you Morgan McGarvey?" I said, "No, I'm not." But that's how much he's respected, and he is a champion for JCPS and public education in his work. Also, Mayor Greenberg, it has been an honor to get to know you and partner with you, and I'm very confident this partnership will continue to grow as the city supports us. Mayor Greenberg. Couple others real quick I wanted to introduce from the Kentucky Board of Education. Once again, champions for public education her entire life. Sharon Porter Robinson, thank you for all you do and welcome here. And I also wanted to recognize Dr. Kish Kumi Price with the Urban League, who is with us, also a champion of public education. There you are behind the pole. So thank you so much, and for all of you being here today. I know I could probably recognize everybody in this room because you're all champions for education. It is important, first and foremost, that I recognize if we have any teachers in this room, please stand up. JCPS teachers, please stand up. Thank you all for your work. I'm going to tell you this, public education is under attack like it has never been before. You will hear me talk about the teacher shortage later on, but it is a real crisis and a growing crisis. Teachers today are asked to do more than they've ever done in the history of education to meet the needs of kids. And yet public education and teachers continue to be attacked on a regular basis. And then we wonder why we have a teacher shortage. It is time we change that attitude and recognize our teachers like the champions that they are. So thank you very much for all of your work, and for all the teachers right now that are in a classroom teaching for JCPS. I appreciate you, and I'm proud to represent you up here today. And then also, anybody, my team that I have out here, you raise your hand, any district leadership that is out here. I won't make you stand up, but I'm going to tell you this. The leadership that I have, and I've said this, one thing I do is hire well. I can surround myself with great people, and that's what I have done. I would put the JCPS team up against anybody in this nation when it comes to leadership. And I'm very proud of them, and anyone who gets to hear them and talk to them knows the leadership is second to none in JCPS. So I truly appreciate you. If I could have a round of applause for our leadership team. So today, beautiful day, we had a snow contingency going into this. What happens if it snows? Little did we know we could have probably had this outside. The negative part about this, I hope my voice makes it through this, because I never expected the allergies would begin in late February, but here we are right now. So I've got water. Bear with me if I need to take a second or two. I am just so proud to stand up here and represent everybody in this room. I feel like this is a team. And let me say this. We hear a lot of negative stuff about JCPS from Frankfurt to all over the community. And I say, what is JCPS? When I say we are JCPS, JCPS is not a building. It's not a building on Newburgh Road. JCPS is not just the school board. It's not just the superintendent. JCPS is every single employee inside this district. JCPS is every student inside this district. JCPS is each and every one of you who battle every single day to support the kids in this community. Brene Brown says this, and I'm going to change the word because I'm on camera, but if you're not in the arena getting your rear end kicked, and by saying rear end kicked, meaning fighting for what's better for kids, then I'm not interested in your feedback. I'm only interested in the feedback of those in the arena. Now, you got to accept that feedback, and that's what we are all here. You all are in the arena with us, and I can't thank you enough for that. The Scholarship Fund, you heard from Gobin. My favorite day of the year, without a doubt, the Scholarship Fund and what that brings. Over the course of the past 3 or 4 years, I've been able to hand out hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships. And that is just symbolic of the work that we do. Changing a child's life is not just their life, it is their generations to come, their children's children. One of the things I'm most proud of, my first year of coaching in JCPS 1997-98, makes me feel old, but those young men have kids in college now that are graduating college. And I'm not just saying it was just me. Hopefully I had a little piece of that. But if I just had a little piece of that, these kids who had never been out of West Louisville before now have kids graduating college. It's generational what we do. Gobin is obviously going to be an amazing success. I hope to say that everyone contributed to his scholarship had just a little piece when his kids are going to college. And he is doing amazing things. And was it IT? Is that what software IT work that he is doing? No doubt. Incredible. So I would encourage you today, the number one thing we can do here is give to the scholarship fund, because here in a few months, we'll be handing out those big checks again. And it's a lot of fun, and if you give, know that you are making a difference in a child's life, just like Gobin. So thank you very much for considering that. But as I say this, we are JCPS. This is what I mean here. We have got to get past in education believing that there are easy fixes to education. There are easy fixes to taking kids who have very difficult, traumatic lives and come from poverty, and we are just going to implement some easy fix and it's going to change. Instead, it requires a community-wide effort where every single person is saying, what can we do to make this work? And an example of that has been so successful in JCPS is the Academies of Louisville initiative. The planning and the work of the Academies of Louisville happened for years to get it right, years. Each and every year, a step forward, a step forward. And the beautiful part of the initiative, it was not just the school district. It was not just funding. Part of that, yes, was all a part of it. But what it was the community saying we need to invest our dollars in our schools, but we also need to invest our time and energy. So Metro government became a part of this with Kentuckiana Works. GLI became a part of this. Business leaders throughout the community stepped up, from very large businesses and corporations to very small businesses who said, what can I do to help? By developing apprenticeships and field trips and going into schools, it made an enormous difference. Even through the pandemic, the work continued. JCPS with the high school office continues to work on this. As a result of this collaboration, I think we are a national model. And what you will see, data that is coming from that. It is without a doubt, it's an amazing facts. We have record graduation rate in JCPS, 85.6%, highest we've ever had in JCPS. For the first time ever, every single one of our schools are above 80% graduation rate, every single school. And finally, post-secondary readiness rate, which means a kid graduates with we call it a diploma plus. They walk across the stage with college credit hours, an apprenticeship, a certification, ACT benchmark scores. Those things that say a child is ready for college and or career, that's the post-secondary readiness numbers, and as a result of the Academies of Louisville, we are at a record rate last year, 72%. So thank you to all of those folks. If you've had anything to do with the Academies of Louisville, please just raise your hand. I just want to say thank you very much, especially for our business leaders. It makes a huge difference. Now, we're taking it to the middle school with our Explore Pathways. And so what we want, we're not asking middle school kids to choose a career. We are asking them to become engaged in the work that they are doing in school. You will hear me talk about student engagement a lot today and student belonging. You'll hear me talk about research today. When a child feels like they are a part of something at school, the likelihood of them being successful skyrockets. On the alternative, if a child does not feel a sense of belonging, they're going to find a sense of belonging somewhere else. And that's why it is so important for us to engage kids. Curricular, Academies of Louisville, Explore Pathways, you can see what these middle school students are doing to feel engaged. Then it's going to be a bridge into that high school where they get to choose a pathway. And our goal is to have 100% of our kids post-secondary ready, and there is no doubt that I believe we can do this. And so this is the work, the engagement that's taking place in our schools each and every day, just building that middle school model. But next year, standing up here, I can't wait to report to you on the progress of both high school and middle school. So thank you to our high school and middle school teams for all of your work with this. Time check. Okay. Can't believe I'm already down 10 minutes. 20's not going to make it, guys. I'm sorry. I want you to think back. This has been really my third in-person State of the District with a break in between. In 2019, we held our first State of the District at the Olmsted. The last couple of years has either been in 2020, one, which was just live on television, no audience in the height of the pandemic. 2022, last year, we did it for a very limited audience in Shawnee because we were in a spike at the time with COVID cases. This is the first time since 2020 that we have been back in person like this. And this is a great opportunity for me to reflect. I don't get to do this often, and I love doing it because this is the opportunity to reflect on the work. We get so caught in our community on the urgent things, and I understand that. But we really don't get to where we say, the important or the change that's got to happen. So I want you to think back. Many of you were there. February 26th, 2020, was at the Galt House. It was the last time we did a luncheon like this for State of the District. 3 years ago, it will be the 26th this weekend. 3 years ago. Think about how the world has changed in those 3 years since February 26, 2020. At that time, we were just initially hearing about this thing called coronavirus. I remember that next day afterwards getting a team together. No cases of coronavirus had been in the United States yet. But we were starting to hear in the education world, this might impact us for the rest, but before the year is over. Little did we know about 2.5 weeks later, we would be shutting down. None of us had worn a mask before. We didn't know anything about that. Also, hardly any, if any of us in here had heard the names Breonna Taylor or George Floyd. Those were names we did not know the last time we were in here. On a lighter note, Tom Brady was still quarterback of the New England Patriots. Think about how much has changed during that time. How much JCPS and other school districts around the nation have had to navigate to get through this. So many districts have been unsuccessful in their work. So many districts have overturned superintendents and staff and boards of education because we are at the center of a political war right now. Education is all across America. It's unfortunate. But I bring that back to you because on that morning, February 26, 2020, I laid out a plan for you. We called it our future state. I said what we were going to do at that time. And this is a great opportunity for me to reflect back so you can see what this board and this district and the leadership has done since that date during a pandemic. You will see the changes we have made in order to improve outcomes for students. As I step back from that, before that, let me say this. In July of 2019, I've got some coaches, some mentors that have really pushed me to say, you know, you've got to lay out a plan for change. What I have not done as well is let the community know this is our plan for change. But that's why I'm here today, to tell you about that. What has been that plan of change? In the summer of 2019, I gathered a large leadership team together, many of them in here. We took a 3-day retreat, and we said, what is stopping JCPS from getting the outcomes we need for kids? And I said, not programs at schools, not initiatives, not let's have better this at a school. What do we do as a district that needs to change and get better? What we found is we have 6 or 7 areas. We kind of combined them together into themes that have not changed for about 50 years. Things have been the same in this district for 50 years. I think back to the fundamentals and I'm not talking about programs in schools or what, the new in thing is when it comes to teaching and learning. I'm talking about the things we decide on, the policies, the work that we do on the foundation of the district. And we came up with these 6 areas at the time. We've added one since then because of a change in legislation, and I'll talk about how important that is. And if you look, we stood up here and I said in February of 2020, these are our areas, our future state. We said, what's our current state? What is our future state? We said, our facilities, if you remember that speech, I spent a significant time talking about the dire need of facilities in our district and the embarrassment of our current facilities. I'll get into that a second. I'm proud of that work. School choice. I spent a good amount of time talking about the student assignment plan and how that had to change. With that, investing and resourcing our highest need schools, which we had not done before. Building leadership, workforce development, that's only become more important in recent months. Increasing our use of technology. Quite candidly, COVID has helped us with that. One silver lining, that's helped us with that as we've moved forward. District-wide core curriculum is the 7th, or the one that we have added. And then finally, extending learning time, which I will be talking about as we get into this. These 7 things. I brought with it, and the most controversial thing I said in February 26, 2020, there's a price tag to all of this. And I said, this is what it's going to cost. It's going to cost about $50 million a year to do this the way we want to do it. 2 weeks later, we go into COVID, economic downturn. And I stepped back and said, well, that blows that. There's no way that we can do this. Right now, ask for increased revenue during an economic downturn. But I had board members, I had some of my mentors tell me, your job is for the kids of JCPS and to do what's best for the kids of JCPS. And we went forward on that. We went forward on proposing increased revenue of $54 million a year in JCPS. We had people in this room stand up and battle for us amongst the heat that was coming at us, and we won that battle. An additional $54 million a year to do this. I thank our Board of Education for standing strong, encouraging me to go forward with that. Without that, this wouldn't happen. And you are going to see the difference that it is making. We did this work even during COVID. All right, we had no idea when I spoke to you in 2020 anything about NTI or NTI in Kentucky was a thing for small districts and snow. There was no way we could do it. We turned on a dime. We spent days, 24 hours a day figuring out a way to do online instruction for 96,000 students. It wasn't perfect, but we continued to work and meet that challenge. Get back to school so we could get back to school safely. In the midst of all the time, COVID rising, dropping, having kids, teachers, and staff that are sick as a result of it, and making sure that, we're addressing the shortages that we have, and I'm going to talk about those challenges. So this is the future state of JCPS, and it is very important that this community knows this is our plan. This is what we said will change outcomes for kids in JCPS. We have planted the trees. Now it is time to water those roots and make sure we get the fruit of our labor. And so I'd really like to now get into what that is in each and every area. So first of all, building new facilities. There's nothing better than opening up brand new schools. I had the luxury this year because Wilkerson Elementary was a little late opening, and they were at Watson Lane, an older school, for the first 4 weeks of school. They left on Friday at Watson Lane, and on Monday morning came to their new school. You should have seen the look on their faces. It's amazing. I'm telling you this, facilities are symbolic for kids about how much the community cares for them. We still have facility after facility. That is an embarrassment to the city of Louisville. We have not invested in this year after year, and we are behind so many cities. We have increased our bonding capacity as a result of the revenue increase, and now we are able to cook with gas when it comes to facilities. First and foremost, don't listen to me. Let's listen to what our kids, teachers, and staff have to say about this.
We're here at Indian Trail Elementary. This is our first year in this new building.
It's very bright. Like when you come in here in the morning, you just get shined with brightness.
Our facilities are wonderful. Our kids really deserve this. And I really think that it's boosted our culture here. We've been doing the Kids Heart Challenge. They take pride more. They know that since things are brand new, they know to take care of it, and they know that it's for them.
It felt great to be at the first day of school in this new building.
It's wonderful. I mean, with all the new technology, with the lights, the air conditioner, everything working, makes a big difference.
I think it's really huge, like very spacious. You can put a lot of stuff in it.
The new Indian Trail means everything to our school and community. It provides equitable access to our scholars. It provides learning places that they didn't have previously in the old building, bright lights, wonderful bright corridors and colors. It just brings an atmosphere of learning.
We are in our brand new Wilkerson Elementary in our library space, and you can see it's very bright and very well stocked with our books.
I feel like it's really welcoming and warm and just fun to be here.
It's like nice and modern and like very bright. There's all the windows.
You know, going from a building that was built in ¡66 to a building built in modern day with the technology that we demand in the classroom every single day already, that's helpful. You know, the classrooms are built to, manage the technology that we need to incorporate that the students are going to experience in their daily lives outside of school.
Because it's just the space itself is larger, we're spread out more. The way that this building is organized with, sort of everything in one central location, we've got our lunchroom and our library and our gym, and then we have a whole wing that's just our classrooms.
What I love about Wilkerson is that it has more room than the other one.
My favorite thing about being in this school is like when we go to our special areas, because now we have a lot more room and we have more special areas to go to, so it's fun going to different ones each week.
Yeah, we've been in this building since September and we are really loving it. We're getting settled in.
It's just awesome. The kids love the gym at Wilkerson. I mean, they walk in and it's not a gym, a cafetorium. Everybody, in elementary school, you move a wall or two, it becomes the cafeteria and then an auditorium and a gym. And they are like, we have an actual gym. It was just awesome. And I can tell you, guys, you could see the pictures, the hallways, the lighting, the HVAC system, the natural light inside of a school. I would challenge you, right up the road here, we have a fantastic elementary school, Bick Elementary School. But I could walk in, you saw how wide those hallways were for the kids? I can walk into Bick and almost touch both sides of the wall with the ceilings low and the lighting not conducive to learning. Most of our kids are in an environment like that. Most of our kids are in an environment like that. We are now starting to chip into this. We have got to get to a spot where every single year we are opening schools. I'm so proud to say we're opening 2 schools on the first day of school, 2 more on the first day of school next year. We will be opening Dr. William Perry Elementary School in West Louisville, which we cannot wait. We have a principal here we have a principal of William Perry Elementary School. And we will also be opening Echo Trail Middle School in East Louisville, so 2 more schools, 4 years and 2 years. So principal of Echo Trail, raise your congrats, thank you for being here. I can't wait to do that. This will be the first school in West Louisville to open, brand new school, in almost a quarter of a century. And so this is an investment that we have to make in our facilities over and over. We're in a hole, folks, and it's going to take a while to dig out of it. But I'm proud that, led by Chris Perkins, our Chief Operations Officer, our committee that is working, led by our board member James Craig, has put together an incredible plan to completely renovate and rebuild our facilities. We can rebuild some, we can renovate others. And so I will say this to you, we are going to open up 26 new schools by 2036. 26 new schools. That says 25, but I'm rounding up, so forget it. But just to be, in the past 23 years, think about this, since the turn of the century, we've built 10 new schools. 2 of them you just saw. So before those 2, 8 in a quarter of a century. In the next 10 years, we will build these 25 schools. That is absolutely something that is going to make a difference in our kids' education. So thank you for your support in that. We're going to continue this work. And as you can see, building new facilities, we've got that done. There's the check mark. I'm very proud of that we got the check mark up there. School choice. I spent a good amount of my time at our last one in February of 2020 talking about the need and change for student assignment. I felt like one of the most inequitable things we do in this community, well, really nationally, is we have a school system who enforces diversity only on the kids of West Louisville. We needed to give the opportunity for all students to have a chance to go close to home if they would like to, go to a magnet, so we increase access to magnets for all of our students so they directly reflect our population, and we make sure we fund every school like it needs to be in an equitable manner. We have done that. We will now be implementing the new student choice plan coming up here that begins for the year kindergarten 6 and 12 for August of this upcoming year. The families have spoken. I want to thank our parent outreach team and student assignment who went and just spent months, not only in West Louisville, but the whole community, to make sure that families knew their options. First and foremost, the students in West Louisville, record number of applications to our magnet schools. Record number of applications because we got out there and said, here are your options, families. So first and foremost, record number of applications. When kids say, I want to go to a school for a reason, it's much more likely they're going to be successful. Secondly, parents have spoken. 80% of our elementary school students and families, 80% of our middle school students, and about 40% of our high school students are choosing a school in the choice zone, which is in their neighborhood. So the families have spoken and told us what they have wanted. We are making sure they have that. That is going to make a difference in student engagement and outcomes when students have a choice of where they go to school. I'm proud of that. It's a lot of work. I want to thank Amanda Averett-Bush and her team for all of their work to make sure this is implemented. This is her life, her team's life. They are getting after it. So thank you very much for your work. I'm proud of that. That was a big lift, hadn't changed in 40 years, so we can put a check mark next to at least passing it. Now we've got to implement it. I understand. I don't want to put a check mark like we're done. We've passed it, now we've got to implement. And where that comes in most importantly is resourcing our highest need schools. What we know is we can't have schools that have a concentration of poverty and we don't fund those schools differently. I believe this. You've heard me say this a multitude of times probably. But students who have the least amount of resources in their home needs to have the most amount of resources in their schools. I'll repeat that. Students with the least amount of resources in their home need to have the most amount of resources in their school. I will tell you this, I have never met a crowd that I say that to that either doesn't clap or shake their head yes. Yet in every community across America, we do not do that. Go into any city in America and go out to the suburbs and look at their schools, what they have, and then go in the urban core and look at their schools. We don't do that. For the first time ever, next year, We can say in JCPS, we are doing that. We are resourcing our high poverty schools the way they need to be resourced. We are paying our teachers more, our principals more if they go into our choice zone schools. I don't think a lot of people know that. Starting first day of school, if you teach in a choice zone or AIS school, you get an $8,000 stipend next year. If you are a principal in a choice zone or AIS school, you get a $10,000 stipend next year. Our goal is to make sure the teachers that have a passion to do it and our best and brightest are going to our high-need schools. That is going to make a huge difference in funding. But also, we are making sure we give everything that they could possibly need to be successful. I'd like to introduce you to the director of our choice zone, Jamira Johnson. So wave your hand, Jamira. So let me tell you why we hired Jamira. That's a brand new role that came with the student choice plan. And I met with the choice zone principals yesterday. And I said, you want for nothing. You have everything you need. Every teacher in your school building has everything they could possibly want and more. We celebrate you as much as we can. We provide kids with what our athletic teams have same or better than our highest financially supported athletic teams, and it's her job to make sure that happens. She meets with me on a regular basis. She goes to the principals and pushes them. Why is that broken in your school? I'll get it fixed right now for you. That is how we want to resource our schools to make sure that kids in our highest poverty schools have every support they could possibly need. Smaller class size, more adults in the classroom, higher paid teachers and principals, and that's what we've committed to do. In conjunction with that, we now have a $20 million grant from Mackenzie Scott, because one of the areas that is difficult to get past is supplementary funding. I'll give an example. The male manual football game this year, the gate they took in was $80,000. After expenses, they split the gate. They each got about $35,000. $35,000 to reinvest in their extracurricular activities. The Academy at Shawnee probably lost money on athletics to hold athletic events. We are now going to supplement that with our E3 program, where we provide supplementary funding. We have parent engagement workshops where we increase the amount of parents going into our, for the PTAs at our schools. But what this is going to mean is no longer will the playgrounds be insufficient in our choice zone schools. They will be as enticing and fun for kids as you would find in any school in East Louisville. That's coming through these equity funds. I'm so proud of this work. I don't think you'll find another district in America who lives by this creed, what I just said. The less a student has in their home, the more they'll have in their school. And we have now done that. Thanks to our board for approving that plan. Next, you will see build leadership workforce development. This is a major challenge for us. You heard about the Louisville Teacher Residency Program, national model right now where we're growing our own. We have a fully implement leadership development pipeline now where we are developing our, we've replaced about 110 principals out of 155 in my time. It's tough, hard work. It is tough, hard work. They need to be prepared. The old way we did things in JCPS, here are your keys, good luck, get after it. And instead now training principals to be instructional leaders, turnaround leaders, and to provide the supports they need to kids. However, and I'll be talking about this shortly, we have some major challenges, obviously, when it comes to workforce development. That is a crisis coming. So I give us a check mark for the work we've done, but still a lot of work to do when we talk about leadership and workforce development. Finally, increasing our use of technology. Once again, because of COVID and ESSER funds, we were able to attack this, but Dr. Kermit Belcher and his team, we are a model now for technology in schools. One-to-one, we have a Chromebook for every kid who has access to the internet. So you see some districts saying, let's put Wi-Fi on school buses so the kids can have it. We have Wi-Fi built into the Chromebooks. Many of our middle schools, from the Verizon grant, have had these laptops available to them, but one-to-one throughout our district. It is extremely impressive. Obviously, getting old people like me to figure out how to use these computers is a whole different story, but our kids right now have access to the internet, to things that they never had access to. I'm going to give an example. We have Paper here today. Paper is a company that works to provide tutors for kids and access to tutors all the time. I went into a classroom. There was a teacher working with 4 or 5 kids in the front. Every other kid in the classroom had their Chromebook out and headphones with a microphone on. And what were they? I asked, who are you all talking to? They were talking one-on-one to a tutor. One-on-one to a tutor who was working problems with them through the internet. So every single child in a classroom had an individual tutor that they were working with. And just an incredible advancement in education. We have put interactive panels in every single classroom to better support our teachers in the way they interact with our students. We are in the midst right now of implementing a program from a company called Audio Enhancement that first and foremost gives every teacher a microphone like I have right now to speak to their students. Research it clear. It makes a difference for student achievement. Secondly, safety and security. Teachers can call for help immediately by pressing a button. Principals have access to the intercom. I've found this out. I've got a new thing. Now I will have access to be on the intercom in any classroom in JCPS. That is true. Through this, I can't wait to just be like Miss Jones' class. We have our partners from Audio Enhancement here. Well, great company. Thanks for your work. But this is just technology that is by far and away making a difference. And then as we look at district-wide core curriculum, and this came out of Frankfurt, and I think it's one of the most important game-changing things for us, and we had to add it to this over the time, which means site-based councils don't have the ability to select curriculum. It comes from central office, the superintendent. And I say the superintendent, I'm not the one choosing it. We have teams and committees of experts who are out there working it. But for the first time ever, we will have the same curriculum for early literacy all across the district. Ethically and morally, that's what we have to do. We have about 250 kids change schools every day. Imagine you're a second grader who's moving from one school with one literacy approach to another school with another literacy approach. Now we have every school aligned, specifically K through 8 with English, ELA, and math. But we will take this to our middle and our high schools on all of our curriculum. We started with our choice zone, but now we can provide support and align our support across the entire district and ensure that every single student, no matter what school they go to, no matter what classroom they're in, gets a rigorous curriculum that is supported by research. So I'm so happy we are moving forward on that, and that is going to be a huge thing for us. And then finally, extending learning time. Now, this is where I have to say, we've done some good stuff here, but we may have gone backwards on this one. First and foremost, I have to congratulate our team in teaching and learning for implementing a summer learning program. This is where this started. I challenged them. 5 years ago, we had just a few hundred kids in summer learning program. This past summer, we had over 10,000 kids in a 4-week summer learning program. Districts across America have been doing this for a while. We had not. Over the course of 4 years, we've got over 10,000. Michelle Dillard tells me we're going to have 20,000 soon. I don't know where Michelle is, but good grief, that's a lot of kids. And so, but I think it is an amazing feat that we did. So what am I saying we maybe move backwards on? Here's the bad news when it comes to this. Additional learning time is, yes, extended learning time beyond the school, but it is also making sure that we increase attendance. Guys, I can't say this enough. We have an attendance crisis in our community and in our nation, and it has been exacerbated by the pandemic. And if we do not do something about student attendance, there is no way our schools will be successful. Because right now we have about a third of our students in JCPS who are chronically absent, which means missing 18 or more school days a year. You cannot be successful. You cannot be successful in school, especially if you are behind, if you are missing 18 or more school days. We are putting our teachers and schools in an impossible task. And we have to take steps to change that. We have to. I believe the first parts of engaging kids, what I said, will help us increase attendance. Our school choice plan will help us increase attendance. But we got some major issues when it comes to attendance. And so let's look at this. Of our resides middle and high schools, those that say, if I go on, I live at 123 Main Street, what is my school, and I go to that school. 45% of those students are chronically absent. 18 or more school days a year. We have some of our high poverty schools where 75% of the kids are chronically absent. This is a community issue, folks. We can use the terms they're failing schools. How would we expect them to succeed if 75% of the kids are missing 18 or more school days a year? This leads to a whole lot of other problems as well. We have to make sure our kids in school are becoming engaged in school and not engaged in other things. This is a public safety issue. I talked about that last week at an event. This is a public safety issue, engaging our kids. But it is going to take tough choices. And it's going to require this community to look as a community as a whole and not just what's convenient to me and my family. And I know those are hard choices, but this is what we have to do. Secondly, we had kids get to school today 3 hours late. 3 hours late. We have principals who will be staying with their kids today until 5:30 p.m. Those are kids that got out of school at 2:20 because of our bus transportation system. And that's not the transportation people. They do an amazing job. It is the lack of bus drivers that is evident across America right now. So when people want to say, oh, it's because JCPS buses kids, if they let kids go close to home, we let kids go close to home. Every single elementary, middle, and high school student now has that choice. It's hard to get that out there, but they have that choice. And there's a whole lot of other things. If we did this or that, we wouldn't have a busing issue. Oldham County has an issue. Bullitt County has an issue. Fayette County has an issue. New York City. I can go down the line. This is a national issue that is not just going to be solved by saying if we just do that, it's done. Bottom line, we have to reduce our routes because right now we've had 20,000 kids miss 3 million minutes of instruction this year. By the end of the year, it will be 5 million minutes of instruction missed because of shortage in transportation. If we do nothing, it will be the same next year and worse because we will be implementing 2 student assignment plans. This is a choice we have to make. And so, what's the solution to this? We have to get down to 600 bus routes with 650 bus drivers. Currently, right now, we are proposing 7:40 through 9:40 a.m. start times for K-2 through 12. 8 proposed start times. Guys, we've had 2 start times in JCPS for 50 years. We have to be the only district, or we put on one hand, large urban districts in America that have 2 start times. Most have 8, 9, 10, 12, 30, and 40 different start times in order to meet their transportation needs. We have not done that. This should have been done 20 years ago. But change is hard because it impacts so many different people. This is the proposal that will make this change. So if you see our Start Smart time and our bus routes and what we will do by changing this, I think we'll go to the next one. Right now we have 730 routes. We are going down to 600 proposed routes for our students. Without increasing the amount of students on a bus or telling certain kids they can't have transportation, which is what some other cities do, we have made the determination that we have to get down to that 600 routes. If we do nothing, it will be 810 routes next year with 650 bus drivers. So I want to be clear, if we do nothing, it will be more than 5 million minutes next year. We will have kids miss 8 million minutes next year. We must act, and we must act now. It would be much easier for me to say, let's take our time. Trust me, after student choice, the last thing I wanted was another big proposal. But once again, I look in the mirror and say, what's best for kids? So we have to do this. We have asking 80% of our schools, you're less than an hour change. But on top of that, guys, what we are asking is our 31,000 middle and high school kids in our reside schools who are missing, 45% of them are chronically absent, to start an hour later. The research is extremely clear on this. We have states across the nation who are passing laws that say you can't start till after 8:30 because the science and research is clear about start times and making sure that when an adolescent starts later, guess what happens? Attendance goes up. Student outcomes go up. Teacher satisfaction goes up. They're not starting the school day at 6 a.m. Well, and they say, what about elementary? Research says elementary school students starting earlier has no negative impact on their outcomes at all. So those attendance figures I showed you, we want to fix those. I shouldn't say fix. We want to improve those. We must take big steps to do it. And that's what we have to do. We are proposing this for our board. I believe it's a tough change, but it is the right change to make for our kids who are missing instructional minutes every day, our principals and teachers who are having kids come in at all times during the day, get off a bus, and they're staying till 5:30 in the afternoon. This is what we must do. And finally, let me highlight just a few of our challenges as I begin to wrap up. We have major challenges, just like many other districts do. There are no doubt we have 300 plus teaching vacancies right now. That is impacting us in a very substantial way. Not only is it negatively impacting the kids that don't have a certified teacher in front of them, it is impacting our teacher satisfaction because they are having to cover classes. And so teachers are showing up to school and working 7 or 8 consistent hours with kids. Now, you're a teacher, right? But I'm going to tell you, teaching is the hardest thing to do of any profession that I know of. And 8 straight hours of instructing kids is tough. And that's what so many of our teachers are doing, on top of the fact that our kids don't have certified teachers in front of them. This is a crisis that is not going away. It will only get worse unless we act. I hear all the time, well, teacher retention would be better, and we would attract more people if discipline was better. Maybe so, I don't know. But I think that is just a way to say we don't want to pay teachers more. Because teachers right now have to meet the needs of our kids more than they ever have. I'm telling you this, folks, we now have nearly 70,000 kids that are free and reduced lunch. 15 years ago, it was 55,000. 15,000 more kids in poverty. 6,000 kids homeless. An increase almost 125% in English language learners, which we love. But it's just additional challenges for teachers. And then the increase in trauma of kids. And so teachers are having to deal more than they ever have before. We need in JCPS and in the Commonwealth of Kentucky to be #1 in teacher pay, not 44th. I've told you about our bus driver shortage and what that is. We're working on that. I believe we will get to a spot, but that will continue to be an issue moving forward, as it is in all industries. I want to say that. And finally, a few other challenges. We know right now school safety is a huge issue that we deal with. Our board is wrestling with that right now as we talk about things of weapons detection. I'm extremely proud of the plan we put forward, putting safety administrators in every school, developing our own police department, meeting the needs of our kids on a daily basis. We will continue to do that, but there is no doubt that in a community, the community and the school are a reflection of each other. When you have increased crime in the community, you're going to have increased issues in school and vice versa. We are working to meet that. We're working with Mayor Greenberg and the city to make sure that we reduce these issues as much as possible, and we will take that on very assertively over the years to come. And I know our board takes that seriously as well. And finally, I will end with this. The absolute attacks on public education, and specifically JCPS, I believe everybody in this room has to stand up and say enough. because that is hurting, our educators, our kids, our families. I'm extremely proud of the work we have done in JCPS. And it is time we say, everybody in this room, we are JCPS, and we will push back against that. Because the work that needs to happen to improve our district is not something Frankfort's going to do. It's the future state of JCPS, and all of us getting behind that say the right work is happening. Let's let JCPS do the work. We are going to see outcomes like we have never seen before. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so proud of the work that everyone in here is doing and the support that you are giving me. Thank you very much for being here today.
Everyone, thank you to you in this room today, to our sponsors. So combined with our sponsors and with you in this room today, the amount of money that is being donated to the Scholarship Fund to help students like Gobin and to change lives and generations of families is $37,323. Thank you. We cannot say thank you enough.